Alright. Harstem and Solo, we missed the slight intros. I don't think we would have missed anything going in for from like a minute 40 either, but that's okay. Harstem comes out as the ace player here for the Shopify Rebellion today. And this was 3-3, so Harstem 1-1 against Maru. Solar 2-0 against Bjorn, then Scarlet 2-0 against Rex, puts it 3-3. And this map number 7 is now Solar and Harstem best of 1 ace match. Winner of this map gets the W. Let's see who takes it down. So yeah, 3-3 on the board, and obviously it would be a great win for either of these teams because, you know, for on the side, this is a a series which you got to look at and say, well, look, Shopify are consistently in the top 3 or 4 of this league. The win here definitely kind of sets us off in a good way. And Shopify have to look at this and say, well, Onside is a new team on the block, but hey, they're a pretty darn good team. We expect them to be very good. And that obviously means that, you know, if you can get a win here, it's one of your kind of rivals for these top spots. Taken out early, points on the board for your side, definitely, in general, should help you out. Clavicle finishes, and we go straight to the Stargate here from Harstem. See what his build's going to be. Solar, well, likes to play a pretty aggressive style as EVP typically. Likes to kind of get onto the map and just kind of, like I say, play aggressively. Play kind of some timings, try and bust down in the early stages. Harstem likes to play a pretty standard kind of defensive game for the most part, I would say, in this matchup. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see for the moment here. Let's we'll get this up and running. Link speed is already on the way from Solo, of course, no surprise there. And the Oracle to start from Harstem is obviously not a surprise either. 2 or 3 Oracle is the most expected setup. If you went 1 Oracle Glaives, I'd say that would be a surprise from Harstem especially. So yeah, probably just 2 or 3 Oracles. Maybe on this map you can get away with just 2 Oracles and then into the rest of your tech a little bit sooner because you don't need the Oracle to defend as much, right? Because you've got the in-base expansion for the 3rd. So by taking this 3rd base, maybe you could even get away with 1 Oracle. But I think 2 Oracles is good anyways, because then you can one-shot drones. Yeah, it feels like in this situation you don't necessarily need a 3rd Oracle. Because a lot of the time the 3rd Oracle allows you to stay aggressive with 2, and then you have 1 for defense. And yes, sometimes the 3 Oracles all go across the map aggressively, and they can laser down a few drones, and, you know, trade out HP bars quite nicely, whatever. But, yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. So I'd say just the 2, but he's actually going to build a 3rd, so he disagrees with my assessment. I mean, the 3rd actually does, definitely still has uses out on the map, and aggressively using it can be great. Just if you skip that 3rd, you could have already started Twilight Council. It just brings that blink further along much sooner, right? And those are things which maybe could allow you to be just aggressive in other ways a little bit sooner in the game, so. Oracle tries to move through, but the Queen is there immediately to say no and push the Oracle back through the top side. Queens are just there pretty much straight away to turn those Oracles around, push them back, get them out of here. So far so good, as Oracles will come back around this bottom side. And just gonna see the Queens there, ready to try and grab some damage on those Oracles. Oracles drop a little Revelation, just gonna back it up. Back up to the top they go. Just gonna try and keep on tagging those Queens, keeping them busy for the moment. Gonna drop one more Revelation here as well. Just gonna get that the Queens moving forward. Yeah, good defense. Obviously, the Oracle's not finding much pressure at all, not finding much damage at the very least, so that's obviously pretty notable for the moment. You keep these Oracles from dealing damage, then Solo should feel pretty good about himself. Should be no reason to be upset. So yeah, so far, so good. We have our oracles just sitting above the rest of these units here as we do move out for 4th base. That's why the oracles will help you defend that 4th base that's coming up. Spire on the way though, and that's something which Harstem would really like to get some information about. And there's definitely a few ways you can scout. The 4th base gas is coming online already. This is what this counterattack is actually really good for, because it's now going to keep oracles of Harstem at home. So he's not going to get a chance to scout the gases easily. And so the Spire might go a little bit more unnoticed, and if that's the case, then that would be quite problematic. Our hanging around the right. The Phoenix going to go in after the Overseer. Our Oracle drops a little Revelation down on the bottom side. Two Archons, 2 Stalkers, 3 Zealots is going to come. Moving up, the +2 melee, the roach speed, all of that continuing for the moment. Our Ovies and our creep drones in production there, as our Mutalisks will just continue up for now. And our Templar is going to morph into an Archon, and our Oracles here just going to go and clean out on the watchtower a little bit. The Muta's popping. Observer sees the pop, but we already have 2nd Stargate and Phoenix in production, so our defense against these Mutas should be alright with the Phoenix coming out. Obviously, they can still get out of hand and things can still go wrong, but yeah, it looks okay for now as the Oracles will activate just to clean up some Lings again. It's been pretty good with these Oracles throughout, and well, now the Oracles want to be careful. They don't want to die to the Mutalisks if avoidable. Run, Oracles, run with the healing from the battery. And yeah, now the Mutas will just start working this mineral line, but here come the Phoenix. And for now, just going to scare that off. Fleet Beacon on the way as well, just in case this is a continued commitment to Mutas. You want to be able to clear out with the Phoenix range, and then obviously be able to progress from there would be very nice. And very powerful, as it's going to be seeing a couple of Mutas taking some extra shots. Phoenix have not really been able to get in range of the Mutas until like now. This is the first time they're really getting in range, and a couple going down. And they are going to get at least one more. I mean, as Solar turns, I'm not even feeling as though you should be worried as Harstem, right? There's just so many Phoenix here. Even if you lose 1 or 2, you still have a good number to move through Mutas with. So yeah, I don't feel like Harstem had to be too concerned about turning away there a couple of times over. As going to lift some queens. There is 1 queen left on the ground. In fact, multiple queens left on the ground. So transfusion still available. Wow. That wall-off was perfectly timed to at least force the Banes to go the other way. Will the Banes turn this into a flank on this army? No, they're going to go wrapping around, still going for this mineral line. Stalkers will begin to warp in by some time, but the pylon goes down, cancels the warp in. Harstem will lose 12 workers, maybe a couple more at the very end here. The Bane's going to even find Zealots and more pylons. There was a lot of Banelings, but it was a lot of damage found. They definitely did provide a fair bit of value. They've built Corruptors here to try and tank the Phoenix shots as well. And obviously Corrupt is not going to be a bad idea when now Harstem is trying to move into carrier production as well. So moving toward that as a few Lings will loop around the bottom right corner. Going to go after this gateway for a few moments. And just try and clear that out. Little Stasis Ward going to catch a few units over there. Can these Lings get in? But the Corruptor's looking as well if they can caustic spray, maybe pull the Phoenix out of position. Maybe that opens an opportunity elsewhere also. Definitely some chances. It's down Stargate. It's obviously not a bad thing to get rid of as the Phoenix taking some hits. Corruptor count still growing, seeing that the carriers have been the investment here from Harstem to Solar. And just get more Corruptors up and use that to fight these Archons. Don't get me wrong, should be okay in this fight, but then it feels like they're missing a little bit of the buffer that will continue to help them be okay overall. Let's see, as Solar kind of runs half into this fight and then decides he's going to turn around and back it up. And still Corruptor's being hunted down by Phoenix for making 13 new Corruptors. That's maybe a few too many lifts at once as he doesn't have any damage output to actually kill off anything that he lifted. Revelation going down, trying to pick up a queen. The Corruptors want to come through, and the Phoenix will get pushed over the right-hand side. Here we go with everything from Solar. Lings, Banes, Roaches coming straight through. Our Corruptors starting to fight. Our Phoenix will move forward, trying to fight against those Corruptors as well. And the Archons on the ground doing okay against the Roaches. We'll see the Corruptors then will not have much of a chance on their own accord. They have got a great spice. Moving to Broodlords is an option here as well. I mean, at this point, this really is just a question of when do you swap out of those Corruptors. And I feel like right now in a way, but then you still need to be able to fight the carriers, right? Supply is dead even across the board at the moment from Solar and Harstem. Neither player with a huge bank to work with. Solar's adding on an Ultra Cavern, which is kind of a late point in time to switch toward Ultras, but could still potentially work here. Just going to be seeing a couple of HTs come pressing forward. Laying around the side isn't going to be able to do too much. A few Zealots still making their way out down to the bottom as well here from Harstem, trying to see what they can do. They can get up to as our Archon Stalkers continuing around as well. Our Phoenix still just hanging around also. And just seeing that +3 air weapons being brought into play right now as well. So +3 air weapons, Storm. Harstem is going to survive to play a later game, which is obviously, I think, first of all, notable just for the fact that Solar is an aggressive play. He does like coming across the map. He does like being quite feisty, so kind of understand where that's come from. I'm just going to see Bane's crashing in there, knocking down the Nexus, and now these Archons down to the bottom side, going to go chasing after the Lings and the Roaches. That is going to be the Archons and the carriers together fighting off the Corruptors, and a few drones going down as the gold base is getting denied. There's a Chitin displaying on the way up, and Harstem just setting up a Zealot Archon run by over here, and I like it. I mean, the Archon morph means that it's going to take a little while to actually go, though, and that gives Solar time to respond. I like the idea, pushing through the center of the main force, but he is met by the brand new Ultras that have just been popping out. The Chrism will go down to the Corruptors as well. Well, he's clearing out some creep in the middle of the map, but he just won't get that far forward. Huge warping back at home. Let's just try and, again, shut these few Roaches down. But as those Roaches fall, Solar replaces Roaches with much more beneficial units right now. The Lings, the Banes, the Corruptors all coming out. As you see our Robo facility is continuing along as well. Our Mortal's still producing. And a few Zealots just going to come forward and play against the top. Certainly now, a few Lings coming around. Just going to be seeing our Zealots getting swiped as well. I'm just going to get rid of a few additional bits and pieces there. Just going to be seeing our Spines, Lings, +3 melee, +2 carapace, all continuing out. Our cannons still in production, 4 of them on the way up at the moment. Distant Storms to go down on those Lings. Just going to be seeing the Interceptors firing through and dealing some damage to those Ultras here, as we are going to have the Ling Bane getting pretty close to these High Templar. High Templar getting busted. And, well, the Archon's starting to do mega damage to the Corruptors. And splash damage is really adding up there, as the Corruptors just stood in a clump, basically asking to be wiped out. Solar not having a good time, and this Protoss army is at a point where, so far, it is just not being killable. I'd like Harstem just to go to the south, I think. Just go deny that gold base. Obviously, get your own kind of 5th base established, Uranus as well, and get some stack defense going back there. Just go shut down that gold base right now. It seems like a great idea. He's splitting his army up to do it, and I'm not sure if I like that as much, because it feels like altogether Harstem's army can't be beaten, but splitting up like this does maybe give you some opportunities as Solar to then jump on part of it, then jump on the other part. And like, there's not anything that really deals with Ultras like really well, because we're not really having an immortal count here, so yeah, like all these Archons just being chased away by what, like a group of Ultras? Here comes everything else, a couple of Immortals as well, so this is going to turn into a larger army fight, but now we're missing a bunch of the Archons. So they're not going to be there to hit the Corruptors as much. The Corruptors going to get on top of the carriers. The first storm was very good, but we haven't followed it up. I believe we've got the energy. Oh man, those Corruptors are such low HP, and Harstem just had his carrier count reset big time. And we have a little bit more creep still pushing through the middle. We do see the Broodlord morph now coming in because we don't need the Corruptors as much because we got rid of so many of the carriers. Is there an answer to these Broodlords outside of just getting on top of them right here and now and getting rid of them before they morph? I mean, the Storm gets rid of a couple. Some of them are such low HP. I honestly feel like if you had those Archons that he lost to those Ultras before, this is a very different fight. I mean, now he's losing the fight without even the Broodlords being done, which really means that this is looking very bad for Harstem, and as though Solo is on his way to a Game 1 victory here in, well, the Ace match. You only need one game, so looking very, very good for Solo as Harstem. It's really not looking too hard anymore. This is going to be a super battery popping, but he is in some serious trouble here, guys. He's in some serious trouble as well. Tempest coming through. Just going to be seeing our Blings, Archon, Immortals. I mean, yeah, if these Broodlords are now something you just don't really have an answer to, right? Tempest on the way, but it's going to just take a while to get to enough that's going to be effective, and you're already being pushed back. And this game just slipped away from Harstem. It felt like Solo's army was honestly on the run, not in a great place, but I really think Harstem just splitting up kind of messed himself up. If he just went with everything down to the south, instead he kind of went half into the middle of the map and cleaned up a bit of creep. GG's. I think Harstem will know that that was a very winnable game as Solo gets this W, gets this victory, is going to have himself a game in the Ace match. That is his. And